Hey guys, what is up? It is Dalton here.
And I'm Tyler.
And welcome to our next segment of our video game collection videos. And today, we're going to be doing all of the handheld stuff, which means Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, PSP, plug and plays, like, you know, the handheld plug and play, plug into TV games. They're kind of like a handheld, you have to hold it to play it. We've got some box games over there, and I'm trying to look at the stuff that we've got, because I got it like all laid out and everything. And there's also, you know, just a couple little special items that go for Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, stuff like that. So, anyways, without further ado, let's get started with the Game Boy stuff. Alright guys, so first thing before we get going, it's just like before. If you guys seen the previous videos with NES, SNES, and N64 games, it's going to be the same linear way. I'm going to show the first half of games, and then Tyler will show the second half. And when he shows his games, I'll have them stacked over by me, and then I'll hand him each one. Then, you know, he can show them, then he'll hand them back over. It's just for the sake of having, you know, space and everything, and how we can stack them over here and, you know, do it kind of, you know, quickly and more fluently. So, anyways, without further ado, let's get started with the Game Boy games. Alright, first one here is Ballistic. Very cool. Black cart. That was the transition between Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket, is when they started making the black cartridges. It's still just a regular Game Boy game, but they made them a different color to differentiate, you know, the era of Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket. So, very cool. Alright, next one here is Barbie Game Girl. Nothing I'll really ever play. It's just one that I got in a bundle, but, you know, it's part of the collection, so. And then we got Disney Pixar's A Bug's Life. Very, very cool. Got Disney's Toy Story, Disney Pixar's Toy Story. And we've got Donkey Kong. Very cool. This one's a little sun-faded, but, you know, it's always room for upgrade. On the top anyway, it's sun-faded, but it's not too bad of a label, and that's Dr. Mario. Very cool. And we've got Jeopardy. Then we've got Kirby's Block Ball. Kind of like a Breakout and stuff, I think. It's pretty cool. Then we've got Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Really cool looking colored Game Boy cartridge. At first when I saw it, I thought it was Game Boy Color, but it is only just regular Game Boy, which I thought was really cool. I haven't seen, you know, like a unique Game Boy cartridge like that. It's pretty cool because, you know, Kirby's color and everything, so that's cool. Just got a couple like rips and tears in the label, but it's not bad. Alright. Next one is Krusty's Funhouse. Very cool. Then we've got Quirk. It's kind of like a quirky title, but that's pretty cool. It's a really nice label on that one. That's cool. Then we've got Major League Baseball All-Star. It's All-Star Baseball 99 Major League MLB. So there's that one. Then we've got Metroid 2. Then we've got Mickey's Dangerous Chase. The next one here is Mortal Kombat. Very cool. And the next one here is NBA All-Star Challenge 2. This one I haven't really played on Game Boy, but I knew I always played it on Super Nintendo and stuff. That's a pretty fun one. That's NBA Jam. Very cool. And the last one I will be showing for original Game Boy is NFL Quarterback. So very, very cool. Alright, now it'll be Tyler's turn to show some games. Alright guys, now it is Tyler's turn to show some of the Game Boy games. This is the second half of the original Game Boy games, so let's go ahead and get started.
Nickelodeon's Rugrats Time Travelers.
Very cool. There's that one.
Nickelodeon's The Rugrats Movie.
Very cool.
Pac-Man. Disney's Pocahontas.
And that's an example of how sometimes my alphabetizing is a little off. Some people would probably put that under Disney. I just put it under Pocahontas. I don't know. Sometimes I get lazy and don't put it in the right category. It's, you know, it's kind of a mix match, but I try my hardest to keep everything alphabetized. But whatever, it's not too big a deal.
Pokemon Blue version. Pokemon Red version. Pokemon Special Pikachu Edition, or Pokemon Yellow.
Very cool. I love getting the Pokemon games, especially for Game Boy and stuff. Those are awesome.
Spot, the video game.
This one could use an upgrade, but it's okay for now to just play, but it would be nice to upgrade the label in the future.
Super Mario Land. Super Mario Land 2, 6 gold coins. Super RC Pro-Am.
This next one's one of my favorite ones on the Game Boy. It's really fun to play.
That's Super Breakout.
I love breakout games. I love, Arkanoid, stuff like that. Those are really fun games.
The Fidgets.
This next one's really cool as well.
The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX.
Very cool.
Tiny Toon Adventures, Bab's Big Break. Oops.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to hold because they're so small.
Wonder Bros. The Quest for Camelot.
Alright, and then the last loose Game Boy game.
That's Wizards and Warriors X, Fortress of Fear.
Alright, and that is the end of all the loose original Game Boy carts, and there was a total of 35 of them. It's not a huge collection, but it is growing. It's kind of harder to find original Game Boy stuff, but it's really cool because, I got some really good games in there, so, it helps, accommodate for, not so many games. So, very cool. Alright, next will be Game Boy Color games. Alright guys, now it is time for some Game Boy Color games. Now right off the bat I'll go ahead and share how many there are. There are 21 total loose cartridges, so I'll be showing 11 and then Tyler will show 10. So again, not too big of a collection, but still it's growing, so it's still fun to collect for. It's just not as easy to find the smaller game cartridges, but still pretty cool. So anyways, without further ado, let's get started with Game Boy Color. Alright, first one here is Army Men. Very cool. Next one, this one I bought a regular DS, and this was shoved into the cartridge slot, and that is Bob the Builder Fix-It Fun. Definitely not anything I'll be playing because it's not really, I don't think that's anything that you can do with unless you're a little child learning things. It's like trying to play Sesame Street on NES. It's really not that fun for older people to really play, but whatever. Next one here is Disney's The Emperor's New Groove. Awesome movie. So I haven't really played the Game Boy Color version of that. I think I played it once on PlayStation, but that was a long time ago. But anyway, still a good movie. So anyways, the next one here is Donkey Kong Country. Very fun on the Game Boy Color. That's a good one. I love that one. Next one here, also pretty fun to play. This is really good on handhelds, and that's Frogger 2. Swampy's Revenge. Very cool. That's a really good one. Next one here is Gex 3 Deep Pocket Gecko. Really funny. They changed the naming of it for Pocket because, the game's so small. Next one here is Jim Henson's Bear in the Big Blue House. I remember when I was really little, I used to watch that. Same with Tyler. We used to watch that show on TV. That was a pretty good one. Same with Little Bear and Blue's Clues and stuff. It's like that kind of stuff. Next one here is All-Star Baseball 2001 MLB. Very cool. Next one here is MTV Sports Pure Ride. Very cool. Then we've got NBA Jam 2001. This one is one of our original cartridges that we've had since we were little, and that one's pretty cool. And then this other one also is one of our original cartridges, and that is Nickelodeon SpongeBob SquarePants Legend of the Lost Spatula. I remember playing that one a lot too, so does Tyler, and that's just one of those nostalgic games, which is really cool. So anyways, there's all the Game Boy Color games I will be showing, and then Tyler will go ahead and show the other half. Alright guys, now it is going to be Tyler's turn to show the other half of the Game Boy Color games. So here we go.
The first one here is Pokemon Crystal version. The thing about this one is that it doesn't have a working save battery, so we're probably going to have to get that replaced. Don't know when, but we definitely will.
Yeah, it's a really cool one to have, so that's awesome.
This one could use an upgrade someday, but for now it's good that we have it, and that's Rayman.
Very cool. That one's really cool. I love that one.
I remember picking this one up a while ago, but I really love this. So yeah, Tech Deck skateboarding. Yeah, we picked it up at the flea market. I don't remember how much it was, but I definitely was glad to get that.
I think it was like $3, but that's beside the point. Tech Deck is, Tyler collects Tech Deck dudes and stuff, so that was a cool game to find. That was really cool.
Powerpuff Girls Paint the Townsville Green. It's an interesting title.
I'm not gonna lie, I used to watch Powerpuff Girls when I was like 7 or 8 years old. It was just, one of those things on Cartoon Network that was on, the same thing with like Dexter's Laboratory and Ed, Edd and Eddy, that kind of stuff. I would just watch whatever was on, but that was one of the shows, so I'm guilty of that, but whatever.
Here's a pretty good one, that's Toki Tori. Nice Capcom game.
Very cool. This one's our original cartridge coming up, and that one's a really fun one to play.
That was Tom and Jerry. Love that game.
Really, really cool.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Very cool.
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Nice. Unfortunately, this one isn't worth as much as its NES counterpart, but it's still cool to have it, and it's a completely different game.
That's Wacky Races.
The one on NES is like an actual side-scroller. This one's just a racing one, like strictly, so it's a completely different game. And the last one for Game Boy Color loose cards.
That's Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories.
Alright, so that'll do it for all of the loose cartridges on Game Boy Color. And like I said at the beginning, there is 21 cartridges for Game Boy Color. It's not a whole lot, but again, there's some pretty good, decent titles in there. So that helps accommodate for the small amount of games that there are for the console that we have. But anyway, now we'll move on to all of the loose Game Boy Advance cartridges. Alright guys, now it's time to get into the loose Game Boy Advance cartridges. Again, I will show the first half and then Tyler will show the second half. But there is a total of 47 loose cartridges for Game Boy Advance. So let's go ahead and get into them. Alright, first one here is 007, Everything or Nothing. Very, very cool. There's that one. Next one here, this was pretty cool to find. We've got Advance Wars. That came in a bundle lot from Goodwill. It had a pink Game Boy Advance and then like 20 games with it. It was a really cool deal. And I got it for like $15 or something. I don't even think it was that. It was really cheap. Next one here is also in that bundle. Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising. Very, very cool. Alright, and we've got Butt Ugly Martians BKM Battles. Very funny. That's an interesting title. And we've got, this one's pretty cool, Cartoon Network Speedway. It's just a bunch of Cartoon Network characters in like a racing game. It's kind of like Mario Kart, just with Cartoon Network characters. Pretty cool. Next one we have here is Crash Bandicoot Entranced, or it's Crash Bandicoot 2 Entranced. Pretty cool one. I think that's one of our original ones. I'm not positive though, I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones we had growing up. Then we've got Dexter's Laboratory, Disaster Strikes. Cool. Alright, and then the next one here we've got Disney Pixar Monsters Inc. Very awesome movie. I'm not too sure about the games, but the movie is great, so who knows. Next one here we got Disney Walden Media's The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That was a pretty interesting movie. I thought that was a good movie. Again, not too sure about the games. Usually movies, or games that are based on movies aren't too great, but sometimes they are, so I'm not sure. Especially on handheld, I'm not positive, but I'm thinking home console ones would be good, but I'm not sure. Next one here is Donkey Kong Country. Also have that on Game Boy Color that you just saw not too long ago. And I'm not too sure which one to pick. I know for sure the Super Nintendo one's the best one. But between the Game Boy Color and the Advance one, I'm not positive what's better or not. They're all pretty much the same game. They're just, slight upgrades and enhancements, but that's pretty much it. Alright, the next one is Dragon Ball Z Taiketsu. Very, very cool. Then we've got Dragon Ball Z collectible card game. This one could use an upgrade. It's got some fading to it, but that I'm sure is probably supposed to come with other things than just cartridges, obviously, but it's still there, so at least I have the game. Then we got Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku. So there's that one. We got a pretty good amount of Dragon Ball Z games. That's pretty cool. Then we've got DreamWorks Over the Hedge, also another good movie. I did play that on PS2, and I thought that was a pretty good game. I'm not sure on handheld, but I know for PS2 that was a good game, so that's pretty cool. Next one here is Eggmania. Very, very cool. Then we've got Final Fantasy 1 and 2, Dawn of Souls, which is really cool to have. It's nice to have those pretty good titles on the handheld. That kind of accommodates for the smaller amount of games that we've got, and kind of makes the not so good titles look better because there's some good titles in there. Next one here is Disney Pixar's Finding Nemo. Again, another very good movie. Not too sure about the game, but the movie was great. So there's that one. Then we've got Fortress. Very cool. Then we've got Frogger's Adventures, Temple of the Frog. There's that one. Okay, and then we've got Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Very, very cool. Then we've got Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. That was a pretty good movie. I loved how Jim Carrey was in that. That was funny. Then we've got Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Could use an upgrade as well. It's got some label damage, but for the most part it's there. So there's that one. And then this one's pretty cool. Mario Kart Super Circuit. And then the last one I will be showing, and that one is Mario Pinball Land. So very, very cool. Alright, so there's the first half, and then Tyler will go ahead and show the second half. Alright guys, now it is Tyler's turn to show the other half of the loose Game Boy Advance games. So here we go.
The first one here is Mega Man Battle Network 3 Blue.
Very cool.
Mega Man Battle Network 4 Red Sun.
Very cool.
Monster Force, I remember picking this one up. I don't know, it just looked interesting.
Yeah, that one looked pretty cool. It's a little bit different of a game, but it's still pretty cool.
Here's a pretty cool one, Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed. It's kind of a small title.
Really small font, so it's hard to read it. Some of these are like that on Game Boy Advance and stuff, because the cartridge is so small that it's really hard to tell what some of the titles are because of the font and everything.
Nickelodeon Drake and Josh. That was an amazing show.
Oh, I know. I love that show. That was great.
Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge.
Again, SpongeBob's really good, so you can't really go wrong there. I don't know how well the games are, but, you know, for the most part, but some games are good.
This one is our original one, and that's Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness.
I remember that one.
Yep. Just picked this one up not too long ago, Pac-Man Collection.
Very cool. These next two don't have labels, but at least we have the games for now.
And I believe this is Pokemon Leaf Green. I'm pretty sure that's what that one is.
It's hard to tell because I think there was a couple that were green like that, but I'm not positive. We know what this one is though.
Yeah, this one's Pokemon Fire Red. I know that one.
So both of those unfortunately are missing the labels, but you know there's always room for upgrades. But at least we have the games for now.
We got Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Spider-Man Mysterio's Menace.
Interesting title.
Yeah. Here's a pretty good one, Super Mario Advance.
I love when they took the original Super Mario Bros. 2 and they enhanced it and made it completely different. They upgraded a lot of things, and that was really cool that they did that. So that was a good one.
Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2.
Pretty much the same game, just enhanced with, you know, voiceovers and stuff like that, which is really cool. Most of the Super Mario Advance games are just pretty much redone and have a little bit more enhancements to them.
This one has some fading, but it's not bad. That's Yoshi's Island Super Mario Advance 3. Great to have the game.
Yeah, that's really fun. I love the Mario games, especially on handheld.
Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. I like all the Super Mario Advance games. They're all great.
Yeah, especially when you go on like a road trip or, you know, family vacation or whatever, and you want some, you know, game time, you can take those along. You can, you know, sit down and play the whole story and everything. It's really nice.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul.
Some of these are kind of backwards, so bear with me. They're kind of mixed in here because they got switched around over moving them around and stuff, so I do apologize if a couple of them are backwards. But anyway, we can go ahead and continue with that. Alright, now they should be in order from here on out. I tried to fix them, but...
The Revenge of Shinobi.
Very cool.
The Sims Busting Out.
Okay, there's that one.
This one was really good to get. It's a little damaged on the label, but it's not bad. And that's Super Street Fighter 2. It's got some white spots in it, but it's not too bad.
Still there for the most part, so that's cool.
Yeah. Worms World Party.
Very cool.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition. We just picked this one up not too long ago.
Yeah, that one was pretty recent, I remember that. And then the last one for the loose Game Boy Advance cartridges
is Zapper 1 Wicked Cricket.
Alright, so that will conclude all of the Game Boy Advance cartridges that are loose. Now we'll go ahead and move into DS and 3DS, and Tyler will go ahead and show all those because they are mainly all his. I have not fully gotten a whole collection of, any DS or 3DS games, to put in the game room. So these are mostly Tyler's personal games for himself, but we'll go ahead and include them in this because they're handhelds. So we'll go ahead and do those next. Alright guys, now we're going to go ahead and get into DS and 3DS. And like I said before, all these are mainly Tyler's original, self games. These are his, personal games. But we're going to include them in the collection. Just because I don't have, any DS or 3DS games in the actual physical collection. So, but there's not a whole lot of games here, so we'll go ahead and show DS first and then 3DS. And we'll go from there. So Tyler, go ahead and show them.
First one here is I Spy Universe and I Spy Funhouse game pack, and this one is still factory sealed, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I just never got around to playing it, but I just left it sealed.
But very cool, still have a sealed game, that's really awesome.
Then we got a black label, is what I like to call it, the black case of Mario Kart DS.
Very, very cool.
And then we got a sealed copy of Mario Kart DS.
In the red case, right?
Yeah, the later release, but yeah, it's still sealed.
Very cool. There's that one.
Got this one, I think, at a garage sale. That's Namco Museum DS, or I think it was a garage sale, I'm not too sure.
Might have been Goodwill or something, but
I'm not too sure, but I think it was a couple bucks.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. This one's cool.
New Super Mario Bros. DS. Dalton's cartridge is also in here. I'll open it real quick just to show.
Yeah, so I put my loose cartridge in there because I still want to play it, but it's just stored in there because I don't really have a space to put just a loose cartridge, so.
Right, and yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Put hours on that one.
And the last DS game.
That's Nickelodeon SpongeBob Surf and Skate Road Trip, and that one is also still sealed. Again, never got around to playing it, just still sealed, so.
Might probably just stay that way, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, though, it's cool to have, complete sealed games like that. It's really cool. Alright, now to 3DS.
First one here is Angry Birds Trilogy. Love that one.
Very fun. Angry Birds games are pretty cool, especially when you have them like on a 3DS or something like that. It's really cool.
Mario Kart 7.
These are all complete, by the way. We're just kind of, for time's sake, we're just kind of not really showing them all because just take a little bit longer to open each one and show them all. But they're all complete with the manuals and everything, so.
New Super Mario Bros. 2, another one I put lots of hours into.
I played that for a little bit as well, and I thought that was a great game. That's really cool.
Got this one not too long ago. That's Nintendogs plus Cats. This is the Bulldog edition.
The French Bulldog, yeah. They had different versions for it, but this one we found at our local ARC thrift store, and it's actually worth a little bit of money. It's got like $13, $15 in value on it, which is really cool. I thought that was really cool. Or no, that one actually came from a garage sale. I remember now. It didn't come from the thrift store. It came from a garage sale, so that was cool.
Super Mario 3D Land. Another one I put multiple hours into. Great game.
And then last but not least,
I have Yoshi's New Island, excuse me. This one's still factory sealed as well. I was going to play this, but I might as well just get an open copy and just leave this one sealed. But yeah, I definitely will play that soon.
That's a really good one. It looks really fun. So I definitely can't wait if we get a loose, open cartridge case and everything. That'd be really cool to play that one and see how that is. But anyways, there is all of the DS and 3DS games. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into PSP. Alright guys, now we're going to go ahead and get into PSP. Again, it's going to be back to the same way we were doing it. I'm going to show the first half and then Tyler will show the second half. But we only have 15 PSP games. There's 2 that are incomplete. I'll go ahead and show those first, and then we'll get into the complete ones. But yeah, it's not a huge collection, but it's growing. Especially, we only started collecting this about a year ago, so it's still kind of slim. It's not easy to find PSP games that are complete and that are worth picking up. Just for space and everything, that we're not really into it yet. But We'll get it going soon. But anyways, I'll go ahead and show the first two that are incomplete. First one here is just disc only. And that is Ace Combat X, Skies of Deception. So there's that one. I don't know if you can see that too well, it's just the disc. But there's that one. And the other one here is missing the manual, and that is Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadron. Now that one is, like I said, this one's missing the manual. I'm not going to do this and open it for everyone because all the ones after this one are complete with the manuals, but I'm just showing you so you guys know. So those are the only two incomplete ones that we have. And now the rest of these are all complete with the original case and the manual and the disc. So here we go. First one here is Seven Wonders of the Ancient World. I think it's like a puzzle style game, which is pretty cool. So there's that one. Then we've got Death Jr., and I believe this is the special edition one. Tyler ended up buying this one at Games Ahoy for, I think it was $4. That wasn't too bad, but that one looks, you know, more of like a more playable game, so we decided to pick that one up. Plus we had a disc only of it, so we wanted to complete it, so we just bought a full copy instead. Next one here we have Dungeons & Dragons Tactics. Got that from the Big Outdoor Flea Market, you know, a couple months back, so that was pretty cool to pick that one up. That one was, I think, $5, which is not bad. And then Tyler picked up this one for a couple bucks at our local Games Ahoy store as well, and that is Exit Speed Strategy Survival. Pretty cool. There's that one. And then this one we picked up not too long ago as well, and that is Gangs of London. Pretty cool. And the last one I'll be showing, which is really cool. I love playing this on PS2. I haven't finished it yet, but I'd love to get back into playing it and beating it. And that is Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. And I played that one for a tiny bit, and it does play just like the PS2 one, so that was really, really cool. So, anyways, there are all the ones that I'm going to show, and then Tyler will go ahead and show the second half. Alright guys, now we're going to go ahead and get into the second half of the PSP games, and Tyler will go ahead and start off with them. So here we go.
First one here is Lara Croft Tomb Raider Legend.
Very cool. There's that one.
Loco Roco. Looks pretty interesting. It's an interesting title. Sony game, so looks kind of fun. It's like a
side scroller, isn't it?
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Pretty cool.
I also got the second one, Loco Roco 2.
Very cool. This one I remember getting at Goodwill not too long ago. This was probably about a month ago. I thought it was a really cool pickup.
And that's Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2.
Very awesome. This one came with my first PSP when I first started getting PSP stuff, which I thought was really cool.
Yep, and that's Mega Man Powered Up. I played that one for a little bit. It's really good.
That's cool. That one that's I think our most recent pickup for PSP.
That is the Simpsons game. Haven't played it yet, but it might be good.
It has some value to it, which is pretty cool. I think it's like a $15 game. That was pretty interesting to see for, you know, just the Simpsons game. I played this on PS2. It's not the greatest Simpsons game. I mean, it's nothing compared to like Hit and Run, but it still might be pretty good to play on PSP.
The last one here is Worms Open Warfare 2. I love the Worms games. Every single Worms game that I've ever played, they're all great. Even the original PlayStation one is amazing. So, I mean, if you guys like turn-based battle games, this is definitely one of those kind of games that you would like. Me and my brother spent multiple hours just playing this back and forth. So.
Yeah, they're great. I love Worms games. They're, you know, they just got a unique style to them, and the strategy that you have to use to play them and stuff is just awesome. They're really cool turn-based games. So, but yeah. So, anyways, there is all of the PSP games. Now, like I said, I know it's not a whole lot, but the collection is growing, so we'll get there. We're just slowly grabbing games as we go, getting, you know, PSP and stuff as we go along with collecting. But anyway, now we're going to move on to all of the boxed Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy SP or Advance games. And then we have some other special items that we'll show after that. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Alright guys, now here's the last part for the handheld games. We've got some boxed Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. We've got some cool special items and some other little handhelds and some plug-and-play stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're first going to start off with the boxed and complete games. There's 2 Game Boy games, 1 Game Boy Color game, and 3 Game Boy Advance games. So I'll go ahead and start with the Game Boy games. First one here is Donkey Kong Land 2, complete in box. This one I had to piece together. If you saw our, Super Nintendo, or no, not Super Nintendo, excuse me, our N64 game collection video, most of the games that I had gotten complete in box, those were, originally just loose boxes I had to purchase separately. This was one of those boxes that I got in that lot. So this box was $5, but over time I had to put the manual in it. I had to put the cartridge in there. I've probably got about $12 in this complete, which is not bad. That's pretty good. But the box is really, really nice. It is complete. It does have the tray and everything. I don't want to pull every single one out just because it'll take too much time and everything. But they are complete. Most of these games. There's one in here that I'll show you that's missing the cartridge tray. But other than that, it's complete. But anyway, so there's Donkey Kong Land 2. Really, really cool. Next one here. This was like only a couple bucks. I picked this one up just because I saw it and I thought that was a pretty good deal. And it was complete, so I decided to get it. And that's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. That one's really nice shape as well, complete in box. So that's very, very cool. Now this is the one that's missing the cartridge tray, but it is complete 100%. We just recently picked this one up, and that is for the Game Boy Color, and that is Magical Tetris Challenge by Capcom. It's got all the Mickey Mouse characters and stuff, which is really, really cool. But as you can see, this one is missing the tray, but it has the cartridge and all the manuals and everything in there. So other than that, it's 100% complete, so that's really, really cool. So I was really happy to find that one. Tyler actually found that one. And it was only $5, which I thought was really cool. So now this one's really cool. I remember picking this up our first time going down to the Big Outdoor Flea Market, and it was only $10, I think, which is really good for this. It is factory sealed, and it's for Game Boy Advance. And I've yet to find a loose cartridge of it, which would be nice to find. But it's really cool to have a factory sealed game for Advance, and that is Mario Golf Advance Tour. And that is 100% complete. Obviously, it's factory sealed. Really, really cool. I thought that was awesome to see a factory sealed game for the Advance. So, really, really cool. Again, like I've said with my NES, SNES, N64 boxes and stuff, I'd like to get the protector cases for every box just so I can keep them and prevent them from getting any more damaged or anything. I keep them nice, but some things can happen, so I would like to keep them protected if possible. So anyways, the next one here, picked this one up not too long ago as well, and that is Pokemon Pinball, which is Ruby and Sapphire. And that is really, really cool. Very nice condition as well, 100% complete. It's still got the original price tag of $24.99 on it, which it's worth more than that in the box like this, so that's really, really cool. I thought that was really cool to find. Came with a Game Boy Advance and an SP and some other stuff that I'll show here in a little bit for $15 down at our big flea market, so that was really, really cool flying to find all that stuff. Alright, the last one here, again, the same deal goes for, it was a loose box, and I think I had to purchase the manual separate as well. It might have had the manual, I don't remember. But the box was $5, and I ended up picking up a cartridge for $10, so I have about 15 in it. And that is the classic NES series Super Mario Brothers. And it still has the original shrink wrap plastic on it, which is cool. The box is a little crushed, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's still there for the most part. But this one is complete. You can see the cartridge on the top there and everything. So very, very cool. I was really happy to complete that one. That was a long time coming. I probably had the empty box for over a year, and then I finally found a loose cartridge to put in there, so that was really cool to get that complete. So very cool. So there is all the boxed games. Now we've got a few boxed items here that are they're not technically games, but they're still cartridge based, and they are Game Boy Advance video cartridges for all the Nickelodeon shows and stuff like that, and Cartoon Network, which is really cool. So these are all complete with the game inside and everything, and they're in pretty good shape. These are the ones that came with that Pokemon Pinball from the flea market. But the first one here is the Kid Next Door. Yeah, codename Kids Next Door. Excuse me. That's the Cartoon Network show. But that's the video, so like you can plug it in, you can watch episodes on your Game Boy Advance, which I thought's a really cool idea. That was really cool that they made these. The next one here is the Cartoon Network Collection, Volume 1. These are all Volume 1s, by the way, for their categories, which is really cool. So I thought that was pretty nice. The next one here is Nickelodeon's All Grown Up, Volume 1, which I thought was really, really cool. I used to watch the regular Rugrats and stuff. The All Grown Up's okay, but I was more of a fan of the original Rugrats, because that's what I grew up with. So, and then the last one here is Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants episodes, which I thought was really cool as well. So if you want to go on like vacation or whatnot, you want to plug in some SpongeBob, you can put them in on your Game Boy Advance and watch some episodes. It does look pretty good on Game Boy Advance. You know, there's some framing issues, but it's not too bad. It's really cool. It still looks like the regular TV show, so it's not bad at all. So there are the boxed ones, which is really cool. I thought that was awesome. Alright, and then we have 3 loose carts of the Game Boy Advance videos. First one here, we have Volume 1 of The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius for Nickelodeon. I loved that show as well. That was a really good show. It's too bad they had to cancel it, but it's really, really cool that, you know, I can watch some episodes if I want to on the Game Boy Advance. So there's that. Then we've got Nicktoons Collection Volume 1, which is really cool. I think there's actually, yeah, there's 2 of the same one. These are both the same thing. I have 2 of them, but you know, they're both the same, you know, Volume 1 and everything, but it's cool. I try to get these whenever I can. Since they're the same thing, it doesn't really matter. They're just videos, but, you know, it's still cool to have them. So there's those. Alright, so there's all the video Game Boy Advance cartridges. So that's cool. Alright, this next piece is pretty cool. I'm not sure if this was released during original Game Boy. I'm pretty sure it was, but it's still a pretty cool, unique piece. And that is Pokemon Pinball, which is really cool. It does work. You have to put batteries in it, I believe, which, you know, I think that's what it does. Yeah, it takes 1 AAA battery, but it works very nicely. I thought that was really cool. It's not too easy to come by, but you can see these. But most of the time they're missing the cartridge cover, or the battery cover, so it's pretty cool that we found one that has the battery cover on it. So very, very cool. I was really happy to get that, so not bad. Alright, and then we have another unique piece. This is factory sealed. I bought this from a guy that I know from Goodwill. His name is George. This was before I fully knew him as, like, you know, a buddy and everything, so I went to one of his garage sales and he had this for sale and he said it was a couple bucks, and I thought that was really cool. And that is a factory sealed Pokemon Diamond version, stylus holder, which is really cool. This was like a GameStop exclusive piece, which I thought was really, really cool. It is factory sealed and everything. I thought that was awesome to get, and it's a really cool, unique piece to put on the shelf. So, very awesome. I thought that was really cool. So there's that. Now we'll go ahead and get into some of the handheld games. First one here is factory sealed. I probably got this as a stocking stuffer for Christmas one year. I never really actually used it, but it's still in the original packaging, which is really cool. And it's a Super Basketball LCD video game. Really cool. It's just a nice little unique piece to put on the shelf and collect, you know, for and stuff. So it's nothing I really used, and I probably won't ever use it, but it's really cool to have. So there's that. Then we've got we recently picked this one up too, from Goodwill. It was $1, which is really nice, and that is a handheld Frogger, which is really, really cool. Pretty unique. It's easy to use. I mean, it's one screen, obviously. It's kind of like Tiger Electronic Games. But it's really, really cool. I thought that was cool to pick up, so for $1 I couldn't complain. And then we do have 2 Tiger Electronics right here. First one we have is Gauntlet. Very cool. I picked up from George at one of his garage sales for $5, which is not bad. Very cool. And the other one I got here is from a pawn shop, and this one was $10, which is not bad. And that is Disney's Aladdin. I usually don't try to look out for, you know, Tiger Electronics or anything, but if I come across them, I'll pick them up. But it's not a thing that I'm dying to get. But, you know, when you see stuff like that, you just might as well pick it up. So, and then the last handheld piece here, not too long ago we got a, you know, lot from the flea market down in Denver. It's the outdoor one, the big outdoor flea market. And this came with a Nintendo NES, and it was just kind of thrown in the bin. And I thought it was really, really cool. And that is a Mattel Electronics Football 2. And it's very old. It's from 1978, which is, you know, and it still works. So for it to hold up that long, I thought that was really cool. Especially a handheld. Usually handhelds would get dropped, or, you know, they'd get shoved to the side a lot, you know, tossed around, that kind of thing. So for it to still work, I thought that was awesome. It takes 1 C battery, and I happen to have one, which is cool. It was really nice for it to still work and everything. I thought that was awesome. So very cool. And it still makes sounds and everything too, which is awesome. It's unbelievable how older technology and stuff like that still lasts, and it's just awesome. I thought that was really cool. Alright, now we'll get into the plug and plays, and we have 6 of them here. So one's a variant, but, you know, there's still 6 of them. So the first one here, we have a SpongeBob SquarePants one. This is not our original, but we have our original somewhere. But this is one of the games that we had when we grew up. We would take it camping and stuff. We had a camper that had a small TV in it, and usually when it was raining or crappy outside, there wasn't really anything else that we could do. So we had this, we would hook it up to the TV and play it and stuff, which is really, really cool. There's some fun games on here. There's like Breakout and stuff like that on it. Really cool. So there's that one. I'll have to dig out the original one that we have somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I'm sure we have it somewhere still. The next one we have here is a Frogger plug and play. Really, really cool. That one's just the basic Frogger setup. It's just one game, but it's really cool. And then the next one we have here is a Namco TV Games plug and play. Very, very cool. I think this one has about 10 games on it. I'm not positive how many there are, but there's some pretty good ones on there. The original Namco games, so that's really cool. Thought that was awesome to find. So there's that one. Then we've got an Atari paddle plug and play, which is really, really cool. It looks like the original paddle from back in the day. This one has, you know, the basic Atari games on it. I'm sure it has Pong on it for one, but then it also has, you know, some other games like Asteroids and stuff like that on it. So it's a really cool one. This one's in like brand new condition. I don't think it was ever used when we bought it from a garage sale. I don't think they ever used it. So that was really cool to get. Then the last one here, I'll just go ahead and show the two at once because they're both pretty much the same thing. We have a Miss Pac-Man plug and play. One is bigger than the other because it takes one of those cartridges. It takes a game key, which, you know, you can plug in other games into it and play it straight through. It's like a console. But I decided to keep both because they are a variant, but they both have the same built-in games on them. So, I mean, they've got like Mappy Land, and they've got, you know, what is that one? That's, you know, Xevious, and then they've got Galaga, and they've got Pole Position, stuff like that. So really cool that they have some of the original Atari games and stuff on them, and Namco games, stuff like that. That's really, really cool. So to have both, I mean, they're both the same thing, but to have a variant, I thought that was awesome. So those are all the extra goodies, the special box games, and the special items, stuff like that. So now we'll go ahead and kick it to the last part. Alright guys, that is going to do it for all of the handhelds. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, telling your friends. It really helps us out. If you have not, please check out the previous videos for, you know, the NES game collection, Super Nintendo game collection, N64 game collection. Those are, you know, on the channel already. So, and stay tuned for the next one. That'll be the GameCube collection. So you guys will get to see all of our GameCube games and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. So anyways, happy gaming as always, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. See you later, guys. Bye, guys.